Good afternoon. Blessings upon blessings. Come on in and do share. Come on in. Come on in. Blessings, blessings. RJ, blessings. Blessings, Nadia. Blessings again to you, Destiny. Come on in and share. Share with those that you believe need to be present today. This is our Love Walk Outreach Global Spiritual Fellowship time. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about um, some of what may be coming up after this 90 days. 100 days. We are on day 97. On day 97, um, and Forward Motion is here. Love Walk Outreach Global has a message to share with the entire world, and it is definitely a task, a job, to prepare for such a thing. But when I look back over time, as a matter of fact, I was on Facebook a few minutes ago trying to make sure that we were live in the Love Walk Outreach Global community. Welcome to all of you. Welcome to all of you from all of the Love Walk Outreach Global pages, YouTube, our professional page, and also our community, our group community. But I was over there and I was looking, and there was a memory 8 years ago. My daughter, my oldest biological daughter, which I call Minnie, my mini me. It was a picture of her wearing "I Love You Just Because I Can" shirt that I did years ago. And some of my books were on the side in another picture. And I don't even remember what the post was. I think it was asking everybody if they had ordered their books or their t-shirts. But her being in that picture, wearing that shirt, showing support, snapping a picture, it just reminds me that this is just not a work that just began. It's something that has been ongoing since I started. And I remember when I wrote my first book back in 2017. Well, actually, I published it in 2017. So I've been was working on it before that, but it was called Back to the Basics, a love walk meditation. And what that was speaking about, and it's no longer in circulation, but what it was basically doing is taking people back to the basics of what the walk of Christianity was supposed to be about. And I remember even back then having to use my words in a way where I was not trying to cause anybody else to stumble, but I still needed to allude to the liberty that we have. And so here I am, nearly 2 decades later, and I've had some questions for God, right? And I don't know who this is for today, but we're going to get into it. But I had some questions, over the years. I've had some questions. And I did have the message, the promises, the word that I know God gave me And over time, there comes those moments where you're like, God, is this really it? Or should I be doing something different? And every time he would send those who would give me these little small pecks on the cheek, I call them pecks on the cheek from God. When he sends people to confirm or reiterate. But I'm moving into a place in a time right now where the confirmation or the affirmation from another individual, the validation for this purpose and this assignment that God has given me is not needed. And it wasn't really needed then, but I know that that's just kind of how we function, and we've been taught to look for signs and wonders and confirmations and all of those different things. But faith, Lord help me today, faith is about so much more. Faith doesn't need convincing. Faith doesn't need to be proven. It doesn't need any of that. Faith just is. He who cometh to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. Faith is what pleases him. That just simply means we need to get into the space that we fit and believe and trust that that's where we belong, and that's it. We're talking against nearly 2 decades, and I'll be honest and share the mutterings of my heart with you today, because I'm just going through these past few weeks. It's kind of like, okay, God, I know what you said. I know what you said. I know what you said. I know what you said, and I'm holding on to that. I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to quit. But I was feeling some type of way, just like, God, what is this? My team has watched, like I said before, many things happen. And I spent time just trying to explain this and explain that and say, this is, um, words that I couldn't formulate. God would ask the question and I would just type it out, out of inspiration. This is the question. This is the insight. This is the prayer that needs to happen so that this insight can happen and that insight can happen. And I do not have it in me to do anymore, not with anybody. It is time. It's just time. And my heart is not different. It's the same. People know me well enough to know what my mission is. And that is that nobody leaves this earth feeling unloved. And that nobody leaves this earth feeling like they're not supported. Nobody leaves this earth. And I can't, it's not my job right now to touch every single person, but definitely hundreds of thousands, even millions of lives. And I've resolved that within myself. But I want to ask you the question today. Where does your faith lie? Where does your faith lie? Does it lie in, just believing that one day somebody will just get it without you having to explain it, or for God have to ask any questions or any of that? When I'm looking back on Jesus's walk as this mission is that where there is known persecution that comes, and sometimes people think about, the haters that they may have and what they're doing, um, the adversarial voices that come out of nowhere when they're trying to accomplish something, and there are few people that say, oh no, you shouldn't do that, or it should be done like this. And then I think about the mobs of people who just simply are fully convinced in their way, which is their faith. And I am not here to argue with anybody's faith. But when are we going to realize that because you have faith in a thing and it's sure, that not everybody believes the same thing? And if you try to make them or force them or convert them to believe something that they do not, then they are no longer acting in faith. And so how many of you are still battling with what you believe? What are you sure of? Where are you supposed to be in this season? Where are you supposed to be attached? Where are you supposed to be giving and pouring into and sowing? Because everything about life is sowing and reaping. Seed time and harvest will always remain, no matter what. So we get real selfish in our thoughts about what we're doing. And I think that's what I wrestled with for so many years. Like, God, you said this and you said this. So when do I get to be kind of selfish with me, with this thing? When do I get to say, hey, this is what I require, this is what I need, or this is how this is going to flow? When do I get to say these things? And he would always bring it back to me. You're already doing it. To some, it may not look like consistency. To some, it may look like it's just everywhere. It's all over the place. One of when God was asking the question to the team, like, who do they say that she is? As opposed to what you say she is. He posed questions like that, and one brought up the whole bipolar prophet thing. And I think I remember who it was, but I don't want to say any names as to who it was. But it almost had me cracking up a little bit, because that's the name of a book that I'm going to write. Because, yeah, like I'm everything that I am. I'm everything that I am, and that's what I'm here to offer to this world as He allows. I yield my will, and I just think about these things. Think about that moment in that Garden of Gethsemane where Jesus was all alone. In that moment, going to this place where He was about to be ripped and crucified and made to carry something so heavy. It was already heavy, sweat and blood in this time. And we see Him going to the disciples and saying, could you not watch with me for at least 1 hour? But in actuality, it was just a moment where He had to journey through. And when He asked them about watching 1 hour with Him, it was for their sake. And of course, it would have lifted a little bit off His shoulders, but not much, because that was the purpose. The purpose was for Him to carry all of it. Carry all of it in the stead of others. But it was for them. It was so that they wouldn't get tempted to deny or betray or to scatter or to feel as if they needed to hide themselves from the people, that He was all alone. But He did not stop in His purpose. Some people tried to associate this with something that was so supernatural. But here's the truth, y'all. We are supernatural beings, period. Jesus' message wasn't about Him being God in its entirety. His message was, hey, you need to realize that we are God incarnate. You have the same power that I do. When you recognize this Christ mind, this mind that is in me, when you recognize it, when you allow it, you'll recognize the power and the strength and the ability in you. You can be free. This narrative that has you thinking the most negative about yourself, this narrative that has you believing that life is just this big mess and that there's no room for living and loving and being happy. No, I came that you would have life and have life more abundantly. And so therefore, what I'm teaching you is so that you can have that life, so that your burdens will be light and your yoke will be easy. And so that message still is being taught. It's been taught by many leaders over time. It was taught before Jesus came to the earth. It was taught after He left the earth. It's just been the message taught, because God is the God of all that exists. And because He's no respecter of person, He's not giving liberty to one group and not giving liberty to another. God is not caught up on names and forms and fashion. Can I be honest? That's all for us. So you can make sense of some things. And so when I come to these conclusions, I come to the understanding that, listen, I'm tracking this thing, trucking it out until, because I wouldn't be me if I didn't. When I show up as everything that God created me to be, I am then giving him glory. When I show up in the faith of what I believe, this is the call, this is the mission. If something doesn't show up, if God penetrates the heart of a person and they refuse to be the answer to the prayer or be the answer to the call, I cannot control what anybody else does, but I will continue. And this is the hour that we're in. I will continue. I will be where he says to be. I can't sit around and wait for other people to obey. The authenticity, and when I say obey, I'm talking about the obedience to become who you are. The following the unctions in your kingdom within, in your heaven within. That when you begin to follow those unctions, then you are being obedient. That means coming into the fullness of who you are, being where it is that you need to be for whatever season, whatever time, without griping and complaining. It's time to grow up. It's time to grow up and be sure. We are no longer in the things that most will consider the easy foundational stuff. Y'all, do y'all realize that love is the foundation, but it's the greatest lesson? It's the greatest maturity. It is the ultimate maturity. And we understand why. Because it takes a lot to love other people. Well, it takes a lot when you self-righteous. When you only look at the faults and the flaws of others and you choose to judge everything about everybody else, you ain't got no joy whatsoever in your life. And it's time to grow past that place. And I'm here to do my best to guide you along with this journey. This only builds as God has intended for it to. I remember Jesus also saying, those that he has given me. Those that he has given me. Those who he has given me. And it wasn't that they were picture perfect. As a matter of fact, we are the ones who indeed call him picture perfect. But he had a whole life before he had that moment where the dove descended. We don't know the story. But what I will tell you is that the ultimate message, and this is going to mess a lot of people up because we live with the doctrine of sin for so long. We live with this doctrine of something that makes us feel like the weaker for so long. A bondage mentality of slave and slave master. For so long that all we know how to do is focus on everything that is negative about ourselves. We can't even take certain conversations because we feel like people are coming for us, when in actuality, wisdom is not coming to mess you up or to hurt you or to wreck your life, because love does no ill to its neighbor. So whatever my assignment is in this life is not to hurt you or to harm you or to do you no ill. But if all you're thinking about is your sin nature, then you're not going to be able to come into the fullness of who you are. That's somebody's opinion. That's somebody's insight as to what they had to give to the people that they were called to. There is liberty. There is liberty in love. There is liberty. And this also messes everybody up, because when he died to take away the sins of the world as it's interpreted, he just really came to free people from the bondage of even living with a sin consciousness. Living with the sin consciousness is bondage. Always trying to fix something, make yourself look a certain type of way so that you can please somebody else. We are all unique reflections and expressions of the great I am. We all have a purpose. We all have something that we're great at. We all have strengths. And the places where we are weakened are only the places where we need to mature or to grow or to be healed. We come to encourage you and not to make you feel as if you're nothing. But when I tell you that it's time to grow up, it's exactly what I mean, because it's time to go forward. It's time for you to live in the truth and the purpose of who you are and what you're here to do. But if you stuck in the past, you ain't going to be able to do it. If you're afraid of the unknown and afraid of the future, you're not going to be able to do it. If you are burdened down about what's happening in the present moment, you are not going to be able to do it. I had to tell myself that, Shalonda, you are not going to be able to give this 100% every single time. If you are still sad because there is no honor, because there's no understanding, and you ain't got time. Will you? Yes, God. I did change my mind. And in the moments where I felt weary, it took one little small peck on the cheek to make me get up and be like, girl, what you got going on? Let's get it. And then all of a sudden the text messages will start again. The messenger messages will come again. The phone calls will come again from somebody just saying, listen, I just need to get this out, Apostle. Hey, Apostle, is there a message for me? See, some prophets and some apostles and teachers, they will feel burdened down by this, but I don't feel burdened down by people who are just saying, hey, I just want to be free. The only thing that I'm saying in this season to you is if you want to be free, you got to be ready to put your feet down and let's walk it out. Bless us, Kiara. Because I love you. Because I love you. Because I'm tired of watching you go through the motion and the anguish. Today, while I was just listen, I was dreaming, and I'm doing a lot of dreaming right now, so I'm sleeping even more than normal. This is another reason why I have to just simply be where God needs me to be when he needs me to be there, because whatever he's doing, I just need to be present for it. In my dreams, it's just happening. So, flooding me, but he's flooding me with more understanding and revelation and insight on who I need to be and how. It's not really different. It's just living in more confidence and boldness. And so I went through the narrative when I was sleeping, literally dreaming and dealing with myself at the same time. And I came up against this space, and God was obviously showing me still where there's some blockage. And most of the time when this comes up, it's always the Christian church. It's always the Christians, because I grew up underneath the doctrine. And what I carried away with me was the message of Christ Yahshua, the message that love is law, the message that not to cause anybody else to stumble. So that means live in the truth of my liberty and allow people to live in the truth of theirs, not shoving it down their throats so that they can be converted. How you going to be converted to something you don't even truly believe in? You don't even know the answers to the questions, and you're afraid to ask the questions. And so God he deals with me about how we adopt these names, and we put together these organizations, and we put together these systems just so we can judge another system. And so I carry inside the book, and if you haven't read it yet, What If God Is All of Us? Considering the Love Walk Approach to Social Justice and Global Healing. I need you to get that book, because we're going to be talking about it. We're going to be diving into it, because we're so busy looking at our religion that we can't even live out what Christ came to tell us. He wasn't a religious man. He followed customs in order not to offend. But when him and the disciples were together, he lived. They did things. They associated with people who others would shun and dismiss and mistreat. He became what he needed to be to every single person that he met. And so when you start to fully understand what he came for, you're not going to be clouded in your judgment. You're not going to mistreat other people in the name of God. You're not going to be so busy trying to prove your point That there's no room for redemption, or what we call redemption right now. Listen, it's people being able to turn their face back to the great I am and be reminded that there is no other existence except for the great I am. We must all come out of it. We must all come out of God. There's no other creation. God is everything. And we're just emitting, we're just literally reflections and unique. So whatever it is that you need to do to become the fullness of you, allow the kingdom of God within you to let you see. But while you're looking outside of yourself for the validation, that's where the pain will come from. There will be those who confirm, but you ain't searching for it no more. Let God speak what he needs to speak when he needs to speak it. Know that your heart is pure. And if it's not, do what you need to do to get a pure heart. But listen, I am not challenged by people who don't know the true heart of me. And if you know the heart of me and still choose to dismiss yourself, I understand it and you are free. I am not holding anybody in bondage. And this is so important for y'all to hear me say. You have the liberty to choose. Because anything else is not faith, it is force. When I saw that in my dreams, and I'm like, God, here we go. Am I not done with this? There's a couple of things that I asked him that. Am I not done with feeling how I feel about support or lack thereof or whatever from family and friends, close friends? And am I not done with this whole narrative of the faces of those who choose religion over relationship, who choose judgment over peace and love? Am I not done with feeling that effect? And I'm going to tell y'all what he told me. And it messed me up because I'm like, God, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. I don't know. And you got to help me. God, help me to help myself. He said, Shalonda, you have just got to accept their choice. And at first I was like, God, but I already thought I did that. And he said, not if you're still afraid of what they're going to say and how they're going to treat you. And and he did another thing. Yeah, I'm the type of person that I'm on my assignment until God tells me to do something different. So every person that I've been checking on, every person that I've been still reaching out to, every person, he said he had me do that for a time. Show love still check on people, still show them that you love them regardless. Because yes, that is a part of the journey. Because they're used to people walking away from them because they make certain decisions. They're used to people walking away because they don't act a certain way. They're used to people walking away because of this and that and the other. He said, but you remain. See, this doesn't make sense to most people. They done with me, I'm done with them. They don't talk to me, I don't talk to them. That's because you don't remember a time where you had to try to figure out life for yourself. And somebody needed to be compassionate. Excuse me. And somebody needed to give you love. To let you know that, hey, I respect your decision. I respect your decision. This life is not about converting people to what you think is correct. It is about loving them while they figure out what they believe, while they mature, while they grow. That's why it's called love walking, because it means forgiveness on a daily and a regular basis. It means seeing beyond the faults and the flaws of another because you got your own. He said to the people, he who's without sin cast the first stone. And what he was saying was, you who ain't got no shortcomings, you who have never done anything to harm or offend or whatever, Now, the focus shouldn't be on that, because once you redeem, you redeem. Once you start going a different direction, you plant a certain seed, different seed, and you keep moving. Don't live in the regret of the past. There's no condemnation of that. But what he was talking to and who he was talking to were the people who were judging her. Because see, that what you put out, you got to get back. Judge not, lest you be judged. Condemn not, lest you be condemned. Forgive so that you can be forgiven. With everything that you put out there, you're going to get it back in a greater measure. So he was trying to let them know, like, hey, let me go ahead and give you this little freedom right now. Because right now, y'all got her on blast. Y'all putting her business out there in these streets. But if you ain't never offended nobody, go ahead and cast the first stone. If you never done anything, and then he didn't go in levels. He didn't say, "Oh, if you just talked about somebody yesterday, you good. You can walk away." But if you committed murder, no, he didn't even give any level of offense. He just simply said, if you never offended anybody else, if you never had a shortcoming, if you never had a moment of immaturity, if you never, then you cast the first stone. They could not do it. Thank you, y'all. They couldn't do it. And thank you, Nadia. I felt that for some reason. It's just that's simple. The simple statement. I felt that. Um, they couldn't do it. So as I sat in this space, and he's saying, "Listen, you, they gonna do what they gonna do. They gonna say what they gonna say based on their belief, and you can't. Listen, and they doing it because it's what they believe to be true. Even if it's them just them responding because they're scared. Even if it's them turning their back away from you because they don't want to be mobbed, they don't want to be mistreated by others, they don't want to be talked down on." Me and my husband was talking last night, and I mentioned to him, because we're watching this series on TV, and you know, of course, it's kind of it's outlandish, it's out there, but I can find so many things in it. Y'all know I'm a perspective person. I'm like, ooh. But I was basically saying to him, you know, the fear that people have to own that they follow these teachings, to own that they're here for it, to spread things word of mouth, not forcing other people to eat it, not forcing other people to take it, but not being ashamed. It happens. And he just kind of looked at me, and I said, it just does. It just happens. People are afraid often to say, hey, this teaching right here makes sense to me, and this is what I'm gonna follow because it's what resonates. It's what resonates. But without the word of mouth, and this is what God told me, you show up, you move, you do what you have to do. Word of mouth is what's supposed to get you to another place. Word of mouth is what's supposed to open the doors, because you need people who have experienced the miracles, experienced the prophetic words that came to pass, people who've experienced what the coaching relationship is like, the longevity of the long trekking along. You need people who have experienced it. Promotion for me ain't the same as it is for other people. As much as I wish that I could get it right, I've been trying to get it right for 20 years almost. And it's not that I had it wrong. It's just that I was trying to do something the opposite of what he told me. But the people who are embarrassed to share, the people who are embarrassed to say this is what it is, I get it. I so get it. I so understand. And guess what? We still gonna walk along. And you still can show up and pop up in here and get a message, get a seed planted if you want to. But I cannot stop the forward motion. Looks inconsistent. That whole bipolar prophet. Yes. She is who she is. Energy everywhere. Love is my navigation system. It is my foundation. So even in all of the things that people can say about me, it's the one thing that is consistent. And if you do not agree, it's okay for you to be where you do. And I know y'all, sometimes people think, well, she just saying that because she tired of getting hurt. No, me and God working on that. Cause I told him I don't want to dismiss people's faults and flaws and make it seem like I just don't want to be hurt and affected by it. So let's keep it moving. I don't want tough skin, but I do want my heart to be guarded so I can just give and 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 give more and give even more and give even more and hold no account of the wrong done to me. Bless us, Christian Bush. I don't want to just talk about this walk. I want to live it. And I want to have a blast while we doing it. And in the moments where we need to let down, we need to be mourning with somebody else, that we know how to do that with all of our heart. And when we need to rejoice with others, we know how to do that with all of our heart. And when we need to give, we know how to do that with all of our heart. We know how to honor. We know how to honor. We were doing this thing and talking about this sponsorship and support thing, this fundraiser. And there was so many things and so many options. And I couldn't do most of them because God was saying, this is not what we're not promoting it. We're putting it out there. Well, I should offer this, and maybe they're right. I should offer that and I should offer this. He said, you already give. You already pour. Let those who can relate, let those who understand, let those who are willing to show up, to pour, to give. He had me go back into my thought, like literally, listen, y'all. He had me go back into just the places where I was planning stuff and trying to figure out things. And he just started showing me all of it. Why this didn't work. Why that didn't work. Why presenting this to these people wouldn't work. And why this presenting. He just was walking me. But do you still say yes? Y'all, this takes faith to do. What is your faith in? What do you believe? Have you counted the cost? And are you willing to go on, even though you have, even though you know what will come, even though you know what will be said, even though you know how people respond and how they act? Paul had conversations with the people like, I know y'all, I know what y'all won't do and I know what y'all will do. But I'm still on a mission. One hug, one smile at a time, one prophetic word, one spoken word piece, however I can relate to you. It's all love and we doing it all. And we're doing it all. You have been afraid to step into the fullness of who you are. But I'm telling you, make love your foundation and do everything from that place, because love will guide your actions. It will guide your words. It will guide how you treat other people. It will guide how you respond to how other people treat you. You're going to keep moving. This is you and God right now. This is you recognizing that you are the unique expression of the great I am that must show up in the world as, put your name there. Love accepts everything as it is because love made everything as it is, created it all, knows every circumstance and every condition. Why are we trying to talk God out of understanding his whole creation, his whole expression, his whole self? We trying to convince God of this? Nah. You don't need to convince God of anything, and God doesn't have to prove anything. Accept this. This is the moment where he talked about proving himself. He said, prove me now. And this is what he was talking about, tithing and offerings and things like that back then. In other words, he was talking about the principle, because tithing and offering, all that, it's just the principle of honoring those that pour into you in whatever way. Spiritually, that was a tithe, talking about the tithe and some other things. Just honoring. But he's saying, See, when I open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing, you won't have room enough to receive. What you sow, you reap. And you reap in multiplication. Excuse me. I need you to just have a thought today. Think today. Think. Accept your maturity today. It's just another. I told you, love is the ultimate maturity. So every level you go, every bit of your healing and your experience, it's all about maturity, growing to another level, accepting everything about you, but being guided by the principle of love, which does no ill to its neighbor, right? Does no harm to another, does no harm to itself, to the best of your ability. And if there is something that you choose to do and you're going to do it regardless, listen, God love you still. Yeah. The only way that it can be real is if he allows you to choose. The only way that it can be real, if that free will, if you feel forced to do anything, then it ain't faith. Even when Jesus was talking and he said, Father, if you could take this cup away from me. But he said, nevertheless, not my will, but your will be done. He was in faith. He chose. This is what I'm doing regardless of how it ends. Because the outcome ultimately is for the good. I know you're afraid. I know you get scared. I know it feels like, oh my God, this is way too much. I got to think about this. I got to think about life. I got to think about bills. I got to think about everything. I got to think about this. I got to think about that. It's the worrying about that has us stagnant. We move forward as if not ashamed of the gospel. And here's the gospel: that we love one another, that we bear the burdens of one another. In your weak moments, I am strength. If I can be that in my weak moments, then there are people who give strength. Because it's all, there's no respect of person. We just got different assignments. But we all here one for another. You just got to find out where you belong in that. No more fear. No more fear. No more fear. Perfect love casts out fear. Today, y'all know I share transparently on purpose. Because the reality is, y'all, is that life and people and trying to be conformed to the way of the world. And again, that is not talking about people outside of church. It's talking about a mindset. Church, mosque, synagogue, temples, all of these places are places that are meant to be sacred for people to come in and feel love and feel a state of peace. Just recognizing the presence of the great I am in whatever way they choose, but it is not meant to be your God. That Bible, any of these other books and sacred texts, they are sacred for a reason. Someone heard and they wrote. They got revelation and they wrote. They got prophecies and they wrote. It is not for us to tell other people whether they heard from God or not. You got a world full of people that's calling all of it cults. Based on their opinion, based on what they see, based on the heart behind what they see. You as an individual person has got to choose whether or not you want relationship or not. And then live in that relationship. Live in the relationship with love. Love heals all things. It accepts and it allows. Why does it allow? Because if I keep you from doing what you're doing, then I'm not giving you free will. I'm not allowing you choice. And it's only with your choice that faith can live. It's only with your choice. When he's saying choose ye this day what you're going to serve, listen, I set before you life and death. I gave you both options. In other words, whatever you allow your heart to think and to feel and to respond with, it's your choice. But remember that there's a principle. It's sowing and reaping. Whatever you put out there, you got to be willing to get it back. Whatever you put out there, you got to be willing to get it back. Are you willing to get back that judgment you've been dishing out? Are you willing to get back that condemnation you've been giving out? Are you willing to go unforgiven? Because see, sometimes we don't even think about forgiveness on a regular, but it's actually a part of our everyday existence. They asked Jesus, how many times should I forgive them a day? He's like, look, it should be this. They talk about 7 times, and that was already liberal because we have a problem with forgiving once. Yeah, we got a problem with forgiving once. He said 7 times. Jesus is like, nah, more than that. Let's multiply this thing out because I need you to understand that forgiveness is a part of love walking. Because he or she who's without the shortcomings cast the first stone. You can't. He said something, done something, something that shifted somebody else's life. We all been used as an adversary of sort. But when you get your heart and you do your best to get your heart in alignment, and you saying, God, I'm on your team. I won't do nothing to hurt another because when I hurt them, I'm hurting you. You are the greater whole. I'll even learn how to love myself better because as I love myself, then I can learn how to love them. So I go within myself to heal everything that is broken, everything that causes me to keep cutting people. See, listen, there's nothing wrong with you. You're just in a mature immaturity, right? We're just growing. So I don't want people to keep thinking about all the stuff that is wrong with them. No, just say, hey, in what area do I need to mature? What stage is this that I'm under? What am I learning for this season? What do I need to take it to the next? See, sometimes y'all think that people are changing on y'all on purpose, like it's personal. Oh, they different. She acting funny. She moving different. Yes, she is. He is. Why? Because they're maturing. They're maturing. And you got to choose whether you're going to mature in this love walk or not, or whether you're going to go a different direction. Whichever way you choose, God is still going to be the same. You are still going to be loved. But you're going to come up against some opposition because you're resisting. Love is a very deep conversation, a deep understanding. Love understands that everything plays its part. Everything has a role. Every bit of understanding, every idea, every concept. What you think is the most ugly thing in the world, somebody finds beauty in it. So just imagine how much beauty God finds in every single thing that he's made manifest. How much grace and mercy is there for that which he's expressed. And I say he because that's the understanding that I came from. But you can title God whatever it is that you can associate with, because God is the great I am. People offended because people say mother God, or people say source, or people say great mind or great intelligence. And that's because they're trying to make Jesus God. They're trying to make Krishna God. They're trying to make all of the figures God. But we are all God incarnate. And that's what all of them were trying to tell us. Go back and read it for yourself. Go back and get an understanding for yourself. But we honor the teachers and the leaders before us. Jesus said, come and learn of me. He was letting us know right there. He was a teacher. He was a guide. Hey, oh ye of little faith, how long am I going to be here with you? In other words, I'm giving you what you need. I'm helping you to open your eyes and be enlightened to what you need to know. You have this power. You have faith. If you say to this mountain, be thou removed and be cast into the sea, and you doubt not in your heart, it will obey you. He was teaching, y'all may not want to hear this, but he was teaching us that literally you can move things with your faith. Not just in the listen, not just in the figurative state, but in the literal state. Your faith causes things to move. This is another thing he showed me in my dreams. He said, all the doors are already open. Oh, God, help me today. Aman sorebakata. All of the doors are already opened. You just frustrated because your faith ain't working and you're trying to kick down doors that were never meant to be open. Your doors are already open. Just keep walking. Oh, God. Just keep walking. Just keep walking. Just keep walking. Just keep walking. Just keep walking in faith, in flow, in inspiration. Just move when I say move. Just do what I've given you to do. Some of you, you will be on schedule. Some of you, you will have everything consistent in your life. You will be able to do the same thing every week or the same thing every day at the same time. That's how God works with you. So you can be the foundation for some things. So you can be the pillars that hold up some things. So that you can be the trailblazer in your area. God knows how he made you. Be you. Be you. Walk it out. When you begin to accommodate others, it's because they're who you called to, and you got to become whatever you need to become to that individual. It ain't taking nothing away from who you are. Because if they came to you as your authentic self, then you going to flow in that thing. No force required. Keep walking. Keep walking. Keep walking. Whatever you are attached to, whoever you are attached to in this season, whoever you feel assigned to in this season, whatever work you feel assigned to in this season, be sure, be in faith about it. No more what ifs, no more maybes, no more questions, no more confusion. Because that which you are not ashamed of, you will have no problem with promoting. You will have no problem with saying, hey, this is what I gained. Jesus wasn't worried about being famous. He knew things would happen because he was using his gifts. There were times that he would say, don't tell nobody about it. He knew that they would. He understood that they must. In order for the fulfillment of his purpose, they needed to have done what they did and say what they said and told who they told. So when you're absolutely sure about where you should be in this season, it's going to be sweatless. I prophetically declare that you will walk into a sweatless season. You ain't going to have to beg for a door to be open. Now listen, in the world of business, I'm not here to contradict what people have learned as far as how to promote themselves, how to put stuff out there, none of that. But you know why they do reviews on products? For the testimony. You know why they do testimonials when it comes to business? So that people can say, this is what I experienced. And if you will, you can try it too, if it's for you. It'll be sweatless and you won't feel stressed or strained. If you feel confused right now, if you feel stressed about the position you're in, if you're feeling stressed about any of it, make peace with the fact that either it's not the place where you should be or you have not gathered enough faith to stand in the truth of what it is for you. Blessings, Nadia. I see your seed. It's time. It's time to grow up. It's time to stand in the truth of who you are. And yep, sometimes you're going to feel very lonely in doing so because all the work that's being done on the inside of you, all the shifting, all the changes, all the things you got to come to grips with, I don't know if I finished this statement earlier, but God was talking to me about the people that I was checking on the assignments, and I'm going to fulfill my assignment until it's over. Keep loving on them. Keep being there. Keep showing your face. And I did so from a very pure place because I still absolutely love them. It wasn't just out of duty. Because everything we do must be done by faith. And so my faith had to be in it in order for me to keep messaging. I asked my questions. If there were answers that he wanted to give me, he gave them. If there was some that he just didn't think I needed to know, I didn't get no answers. But it's all good. Because I'll keep doing and keep giving and keep pouring. I expect for people to be where they are in this life. If they're at one level of maturity, I can't expect them to be on a different one. They are where they are. And if they've been assigned to me at all, if I've been assigned to their life, then I need to know where they are. But all must be willing. Force faith ain't faith at all. I can't force you to have faith in yourself. I can't force you to have faith in the process. I can't force you to be. I just have to be present. Whatever you decide is whatever you decide. But I gotta allow you to choose that. I'm not here to force love on nobody. That's definitely not something to be forced. But today, God is asking, do you want to know yourself as I intended for you to be? Are you still gonna wrestle with the subliminal messages planted in you long time ago? Are you still gonna wrestle? Are you gonna face forward? Are you going to be strong and courageous? That just means, listen, going forward, even when eventually that fear will begin to dissipate. It's going to fade away as you rest in unconditional love, as you realize that, hey, I'm made for this. As you realize that, yep, this may seem like it's tough and I got a little bit of anxiety today, but I'm going to take another step. Eventually, you're going to be so far, you ain't even going to notice the anxiety or the fear anymore because you're living too much in your truth. And that's one of the things that he was dealing with me about. He's like, you just live it. Just keep living. Do what you're doing. You got faith enough to believe it, Shalonda, be it. Live it. And eventually, those faces, those words, it's going to seem like such a distant sound. And eventually it will fade. Do you know who you are? Do you know what you believe? Well, yeah, I know what I believe. I believe this. Why do you believe that? Did you study it? Did you ask God for insight? See, we believe whatever we need to believe. We believe in this need to be rescued from something, and we think that's something that's supposed to come from the outside. Kingdom of God is within you. Your rescue is within you. hmm You got to come to grips. You got to agree. It's all about your free will, your choice. You waiting for something else to fall into place. Accept. Accept yourself. Come on, take that in. Blessings, Kiara. I see a seed. Take it in. Kiara, let me tell you something. And you've actually been on my heart real heavy for weeks. And I check in, see how you doing, all of that. But God told me to let you be aware of where you get your strength, where you get your conversations, all of the places where you receive. Use all of that to strengthen yourself, to strengthen your resolve, to strengthen what's in your heart and mind. And stop denying yourself the right to ask God questions. The fear of questioning God, or the fear of asking questions. The fear of saying, God, I believe this and I know this, I understand this, but this right here has got me baffled. I mean, I know I've been going along with it because that's what pastors teaching, that's what the people are teaching, but I don't really know for sure whether I get that, whether I choose that. God says you ain't got to be afraid to ask me questions. How else are you going to know the answers? How else are you going to know the answers? Amen, Nadia. You can indeed. You already are. That's why you got to honor the entire process, because if you only looking at the final outcome right now, then you're not going to be able to really see that there's change. You got to celebrate and acknowledge and be thankful for every step in this journey. You're already doing that. But I'm coming back to you in just a second, Nadia. But Kiara, I need you to really, really understand, because we walk by faith. And walking by faith does not mean shoving yourself into somebody else's mold. It means coming to grips with the fact that you have a mold to fit in yourself. And it's ever changing and it's ever evolving. Sorrow, pain, stress, always thinking that you messed up, always thinking that you just so bad, so wrong, so awful. God is not pleased. What pleases him is faith. You believe something because somebody else told you? Did you ask God to show you? Did you ask God to give you a deeper understanding so that you can make a decision for yourself? You know how much I battled and struggled going back and forth with myself. I'm like, God, but if I be my whole self, and if I admit to this, and if I admit to that, and if I study this, and if I study that, and if I do this and I do that, and if I offer this to the people, offer that to the people, you already know what's gonna happen. And God says, will you? Will you choose? Will you choose to give me glory? See, we can't give God glory if we can't admit to who we are. And that includes everything that you consider to even to be a struggle. Sometimes you ain't even going through a struggle. The struggle is that you're going back and forth with yourself. Should I be me? Or should I convert to this? Should I change this because they said it's wrong? Or should I ask God questions? It's important that you understand this in this season, because you still have small children. And right now, God is giving you the option to be able to shift your thought process so that you raise your children in the liberty that was afforded to us. Help them to be able to see themselves. See, some of us, can I tell y'all something? Can I tell you, and this is for everybody right now listening? Your insecurities, your fears will cause you to end up being the slave master to your own children and the people around you. In our home, I ask for respect. But each of my children know that whatever it is that they're good at, whatever it is that they have that God has given them, I'm going to highlight it. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to encourage them to do stuff that has to do with it. Now, do I correct? Yep, because love corrects. But it's with love and kindness that we draw, that we correct. So yeah, I had the moment where I read about stuff with 380. I gotta be able to say, hey, like, y'all gotta please forgive me for the way it came out. Did I mean what I said? Absolutely. But because I love you, I don't want to bruise you, I don't want to hurt you. You gotta find that balance for yourself first, and then so that you can teach it to them. Kiara, you have, listen, First of all, you're a great mom. But this is not just about being a great mom for other people to think you're a great mom. It's for you to know that you are giving the best of you. The best of you. So write your questions down. I'm going to give you this. Because this is just how I got to be for some people, right? Write down your 7 questions since you brought that 7 up. Ha. Oh, Rebakataya. Completion of the old mindset. Walking into the newness of what's coming. But this is what I want you to do. I want you to write down 7 questions that you have in your heart and mind when it comes to God, when it comes to life. And I just want you to sit with those questions. I don't want you to ask them out loud to anybody. I don't want you to ask out loud to anybody right now. Nope. Just write them down in your journal. And set that intention. God, please provide me the answers to these questions. Lead me and guide me in the way that I should go, Holy Spirit. Help me to pursue the same mind that was in Christ Joshua so that I can fully understand what it is that I need to do on your behalf. And just let them be. Be in your personal space with God. Sit in prayer and in meditation time. Just be still. Have on your worship instrumental music if that's what you choose, or whatever your preference is. Just let it be instrumental. Keep doing what you're doing, clean or move around or whatever. Sit with your journal. It may take days, it may take an hour, it may take months. But sit with those 7 questions and watch God give you answers according to the path that you need to take. And don't be afraid. Just trust. This is the day, this is the hour where God is challenging those that say they believe. You believe what? And why? Is it faith or is it force? Is this what's best for your life, or is this what's best for somebody else's and they just gave it to you? The slave mentality narrative is changing. It's shifting, and many people are afraid of the shift. Oh my God, they're going to cast off all restraint. You got to let people live. He knows. They got to live out their journey of maturation just like you. That's why love is unconditional, full of grace, full of mercy. Releasing people from their debts, trespasses against you. Jesus said, pray for them, bless them. Who? Those who curse you, those who despitefully use you. Yeah, we're different. And you just got to accept that. That's if you choose to follow the love walk path. If you choose to do something different, and yes, there is a distinct, let me go ahead and say this right now so that everybody knows and is very clear on my stance. I am not religious, but I do take being Christ-like very seriously, because that goes beyond religion. I still associate with the principles of Christianity. But can I be honest with you? The Christian system, the religion of tradition is literally Judaism with Jesus' name attached. And if that's good for you, it's good for you. I ain't even mad at that, because who am I to judge you? But read Galatians 5. Read Galatians 5 for yourself and understand that whatever it is that you choose to tie yourself to, it is your choice. But that's what you're going to be judged, quote unquote, based on. That's what your convictions are going to be about. Is if you're choosing to live according to something and you're trying to measure up to it all the time, and you feeling all this anguish and this angst, and you ain't got no faith, and you sad and you emotional and you in sorrow all the time, then you need to ask yourself what you really believe. What God? Why are we serving a God that we scared of? And I'm talking about scared. I ain't say fear, like reverential fear. I got absolute reverential fear for the great I am, because I know that all things exist because he chose to express it. All glory to God. All glory to God. All glory to the great I am. Huh. Let this mind be in you, which is also in Christ Joshua, who said that the summation or the fulfillment of the law is love. Y'all, I mean, some people think that that's just a lightweight statement, but baby, again, love is the ultimate maturity. It teaches us who to be. It teaches us how to search our heart. It teaches us how to not to be judgmental. It teaches us how to reach out a hand and bear the burdens of one another, because guess what? There's a time where you needed somebody to bear your burdens. Absolutely, destiny, because being spiritual means that I'm going to the essence of who I am. We are all spirit beings having a soulistic and a fleshly experience. In other words, God is the essence of all things. God is omnipresent, which means everywhere at once. That cannot exclude us. It has to include everything that is. And that's if you believe he's omnipresent. God is all knowing. God is all powerful. So even him living this existence through us was because he chose to use his power, chose to use his knowing to express all that we see and all that we can't see. Oh, this stretches your faith real big. It's a personal experience that spreads to all that exists because we are one. That's the spiritual experience that we're having. Understanding that God is but one. And we're all just unique expressions. That's your soul. Your soul is unique. And you have a body. In order to live out the truth of who you are in this greater whole. Kiara, sit with those. Just write them. Every day, spend some time just sitting and praying, and not in condemnation. I just keep hearing God say, stop judging yourself for growing up. Stop judging yourself for needing to mature in some area. We all have to mature in some area. We are all on a growth process. And with every shift, the reason why we feel so depressed and down and sad sometimes is because we don't anticipate the growth. We don't anticipate the shift. That's all the shifts are. The shifts is just another place of growth. With every season, every single year it comes, there's a shift. We go through the different seasons and we're still surprised by them. You are growing. Stop being afraid to grow. Stop being afraid to ask the questions. God says, I'm going to use you mightily, prophet. You're going to reach a lot of parents, a lot of single women. Got to understand what your principles are within. What principles are you living? The ones that are lived out in total faith within yourself. And you're going to be able to share that encouragement and empowerment with others. But I need you to know who you are. And I need you to be okay with the fact that you are growing. No more condemnation. No more shame and guilt and beating yourself down. What God has allowed, let it be so. The condemnation is so strong. The guilt, the shame. I know it all too well, Kiara. I know it all too well. I live with that judgment, that judgment within my mind about, being that mother, being the mother with all these children outside of wedlock and all these different things. I lived with that condemnation for a very long time. What you experience as you grow in this life, you got to make peace with it. You got to make peace with it, and you got to move forward. What you have, what God has allowed, what you've been blessed with, you got to understand it, love it without condition, starting with you. Starting with you. And being a prophet, it can be a heavy task if you're not okay with you. But this ain't something that you're trying to be. This somebody you already are. You already are that. You just making peace with you. And it's sweatless when you realize that it's not you ain't got to do it out of duty. You do prophecy and everything else out of love. And when you do everything that you do from a love perspective, yeah, ain't no shame, no guilt, no nothing come along with that. Ain't no griping. See, you could be a prophet and not ever act or live in that. It's still your choice. But when you do so by faith, ain't no grudge with that. Anything we do with the grudge, God don't want it. He just want faith. Anything we do with a grudge don't have love in it, and he want love. So make peace. Make peace with the truth of who you are. It's feelings of shame, feeling of guilt, feeling of all these different things. And it is so. Nadia, you already are. Nadia, these breaths are personal for you. So put yourself in a position where you can breathe with me. I just want you to keep taking these deep breaths as I'm talking to you. Hear the voice of God, however that sounds to you, however you resonate with it, however you understand it. Hear these words. Go ahead and take them deep breaths. You have the power. This is what Jesus was saying to the disciples when he said, "O ye of little faith, how long am I going to be here with you?" In other words, he's saying, recognize the power that is within you. It all stops when you say it stops. Shuntaya, Goremandio soto remandia katai. O remandio sutu rebakataya mandio su. It all stops when you come out of agreement with it. It is not your lot. It is not your portion. It is one that you have accepted, but you can resist it. It stops when you say it does. Shatabayo korebaikataya. When the thoughts come up, they're just thoughts based on memories. Let it pass. Replace it with new things. Focus on the things that you desire, the things that you want. He's not changing his mind. The answer is still the answer. Breathe. The answer is still the same. And as you continue to be transformed by the renewing of your mind inside that chrysalis, that caterpillar is being transformed into a butterfly, a whole different form, a whole different shape. Once it's a butterfly, nobody's looking at the body of the butterfly to say, "Oh, you are such and such caterpillar." No, they don't even remember the caterpillar anymore. And I'm not saying that who you are before today was not relevant, because absolutely it was. That's how my buddy got here. That's how you've created so many things and been present for so many people. You are relevant, always have been. But this is the day that you choose to grow up in yourself, to stand strong within yourself, and to recognize the power within. I speak to anxiety. I speak to fear. Tukuremandio sutaman. Koremandio shutamaya. I speak to you that as she comes out of agreement, you must go with no fight. You know the rules of engagement. Once she resists, you must flee. So Nadia, in this moment, you breathe and you speak. Shanta rekotobosu rebakataya. Come out of agreement. I don't agree with you anymore, fear. I don't agree with you anymore, anxiety. I don't agree with you anymore, pressure to conform. I have some real good, special, wonderful stuff on the inside of me. I am strong. And I'm going to wear my strength, and I'm going to live in my strength, and I'm going to offer it to whoever it is that it's meant for. Confusion, go. Clarity, be made manifest. Shandya Bakutu. Stand up. Stand up in the fullness of who you are, Nadia. For I have not given you the spirit of fear. It's been adopted. Release. The fear of what they will say. You watch me live through it. You watch me fight through it. You watch me cry through it. Stand. There'll be no more fear. You won't hold back anything. You won't be afraid of what people, you won't be afraid of what people have to say anymore about your path, about your choices, about coming into the fullness of who you are. Listen, no more missing out on the blessings for your life. Pour where you gonna pour. Give what you gonna give. Love who you gonna love. Be present for who you gonna be present for. Give your gifts, your talents, and your abilities. Be sure, master strategist. Be sure. And you are well equipped to help bear this burden with me. You ain't got to keep battling back and forth with yourself. And you ain't got to keep hiding either. Be fully convinced within yourself. That's it. And that's all. Make a decision. Today, in this moment, breathe it out. Keep breathing. Keep breathing. Blessings, LaMonica. Keep breathing. Keep breathing. Ishataman soko remandio. Shataman so. Shetaman siki orobokutu mande kasaya. Rekashotobu undaba seke aramanso. Let it come up and let it come out. It doesn't belong to you. The garments that others have put on you because of their own brokenness, because of their own cutting. No, you will not cut anymore. You will be amended and made whole. Choice. Choice. No shame, no guilt, no condemnation, no embarrassment, no any of that will not hold you hostage anymore. Breathe. Shandaya manso rekatatara. Rekatatidia mandio sutu remandio se. Sha no kusai. Hona masia robokutu amandio so. Shela mandio so reba. Shera mansiki shu. Su. 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 Oreba. Hakataya maso. You're not alone. You're not alone. God says that as you embrace this, every transition, every shift will be sweatless. When you come to grips with the fact that, hey, I can't let anything else grip my mind but faith. I trust you, God. I believe. God says, restore that breach, restore that relationship. God says, don't fear me. Don't be scared of me. No, I'm not. Oh, God, help me today. Help me today. I am not the forced opinions of others in your life. Experience me. Kingdom of God is within you. That kingdom of heaven is within you. Experience me. Experience me for yourself. Sha taman soko rebandia. You know my power by word, by logic. I need you to know my power through you, as you, for others. You are not a mistake. Shoramando kosaya mandios. You are not an accident. You were intended. It doesn't matter when you came. It doesn't matter what the circumstances are in which you were born into. See, this is what it's talking about, and I'm about to. I hope this sets some of y'all free. When we keep going on and saying stuff like, we were born in sin and shaped in iniquity. Can I tell you that you ain't got to go all the way back to Adam and Eve and all this stuff and rehearse these stories? This is not about an original sin, except for the fact that they felt like they needed the knowledge of good and evil as opposed to just walking in the cool of the day with God, understanding that they were one with God. That's the sin. That's the greatest shortcoming. Us feeling like we needed more. But he already allotted for that too. But being born in sin and shaped in iniquity means that, yeah, you may be born to parents that's not whole, that doesn't know the fullness of who they are yet, that's still dealing with their pain and their issues and their circumstances. And you're born into a situation and it makes you feel like, man, should I even be here? Am I even relevant? Oh, God help me today. You fit. You matter. You fit. You matter. You matter. You matter. What you've given, you had to be the one to give it. Now make peace. Breathe. Unclench. Relax yourself. Release the tension. Just lay in the unconditional love and embrace of God in this very moment. You're relevant. You're valid. It is affirmed today in your hearing. Daughter, I intended for you to be everything that you are. Now I need you to get to know you. Outside of the pain, outside of the hurt, outside of the past, I need you to get to know you. And I'll say this as a personal note, Nadia. You get to know yourself the way that we see, your strengths, your abilities, and even without performing, even without the gifts, the abilities, the talents, the whatever, you are still absolutely dope. And you fit. Make peace with that today. Do not mutter over anything that does not feed into what God has spoken to you today. Do not go backwards. That's your choice. When you start feeling these things and muttering over all those things, then you are choosing to live with it. But you can choose to divorce it today. Enjoy this life. Enjoy this life, Nadia. Enjoy this life. Enjoy this life. Be all that you are. Be all that you are. Be all that you are. And I keep hearing God say, love who you want to love. Love who you want to love. And that's in association with romantic relationships. Love who you love. Fighting yourself is not going to change the dynamics. It's going to make you more miserable. And nobody else gets to live your life for you. Nobody else gets to dictate what you're going to do. Nobody. Nobody. Whatever choices you make peace with those choices today. It is so. And so it is. I know that's right, LaMonica. Just as beautiful. That's right, Kiara. She belongs. Oh, rekataman so rebakataya. Masore mandio koso. I encourage everybody to get a seed in the ground today. Right now, I'm looking at 5 people on here, and it's 5:55 p.m. So in the fives, if you haven't sown already, do your absolute best. Never come into a place where you're going to get, if you can, if you are able, and God knows the difference. But never come into a place only desiring to give sparingly. Always desire to give more, because that what you do for others, God does for you. That what you sow, you shall also reap. You sow sparingly, you reap sparingly. You sow bountifully, you reap bountifully. This is the thing every single time. Make peace with that. But don't feel pressured. Everything should still be done with cheer and by faith. It's all love here. But I encourage you, grace upon grace, grace for this season, grace for this healing, grace for this awakening. Oh, are you ready? Oh, are you ready? Oh, are you ready? Oh, are you ready? Are you ready to go to the next place? Are you ready to mature to the next place, the next level, the next thing? Are you tired of being miserable within yourself because you're too busy fighting? You don't have to fight the devil. You don't fight the adversary. You resist it so that it can flee from you. It can't flee unless you resist. As long as you tussle, as long as you fight, it's going to fight right along with you. To the point where you're worn out and tired, feeling like you're nothing. Sentaman socorre mandio. Nadia, keep breathing. Keep breathing. Masore mandios. Shela mandios ore mandios. Mansocorre mandioso. Maso remandio ko remandios. Shedaman sikio robokoto amandios. Somebody needs to decide today whether love is going to be your foundation and where you are drawing from. Some of you I met through coaching, and my coaching methods is no different than what my teaching methods are. I'm just as wide open and live when I'm teaching and preaching and prophesying. I go where I need to go, but I'm a whole person. I'm a whole person, and all of me is here for God to do with what needs to be done. Love. Love is where I rest. My personal practices, whatever I do to get myself centered and grounded, that's for me to choose. To my own master do I rise and I fall. Romans 14. I think I put Romans 14 out there already for y'all multiple times, and Galatians 5 out there multiple times, so that you can begin to understand. And if I'm giving you those scriptures, it's because your heart desires to know and to understand the liberty that Christ came to give. The Christ mind gives. The example that was in Christ Joshua is so that we can live with a light burden and an easy yoke. No stress, no strain. It should not be a burden to you to help to bear somebody else's burden. And if it is, it's okay for you to say, hey, I don't know if I have the capacity for that right now, but let me see if somebody else can help. Love doesn't toot up its nose at others or judge other people because it's not who you are. And love allows them to choose without the frustration that comes with the judgment. But you'll grow in that. You'll grow in that. This is what I know God gave for me to do. To take everything that I gained, the meat that I gained from my whole life of fundamentalism, just living in that space and wondering like, God, how is this love? How is this love? That's the question that I really asked, if I can be honest with you. The judgment, the ridicule, the thought that we somehow have the right to kill off other people if they don't believe what we believe. The separation, the conversations across the pulpit about others and their belief systems, their race, their colors. I think I told y'all this before. When God was showing me that everybody in this world has been enslaved at some time or another, it's a certain liberation that comes along with that. Nothing wrong with being Black and proud. I am that. Nothing wrong with being a woman and empowered. I am that. But I am a love walker first. Because without this flesh, I'm still the essence of God made manifest. Yeah, do y'all hear me? Without this flesh, without this gender, without this preferences and all these things, I'm still the essence of God made manifest, as are all of us. We are love incarnate. And we got to come back to the understanding of what that means. And so if that's you today that just simply says like, you know what? I get it. There's something about what I've been learning, how I've been growing, that just doesn't sit 100% well with me. I'm taught about Jesus on a regular basis, but I don't really see Jesus movements in these streets. Everybody that professes to be a Christian, or everybody who professes to be whatever religion they are, they don't necessarily always practice it. Most people claim it just not to be scared just because they're scared of the fear-based teachings. But can I tell you that you ain't gotta wait to die to go to hell? If you believe in a physical place, first of all, we all spirit, but I digress on that for now. When you're absent from the body, you are present with the Lord. So there has to be something else to that. But if you're worried about dying and going to hell after, then you must not realize or recognize the hell you in right now. And if the kingdom of heaven is within you, that means you got to realize that the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of God is within you. So that hell doesn't have any control over your mind, over your heart, over your narrative. You waiting for the afterlife? So you're going to live your whole life miserable. You're going to live your whole life in pain. You're going to live your whole life underneath the thumb of those that need to control something in order to feel valid. All of that is fear-based stuff. Again, God showed me. He was like, everybody. I mean, everybody has gone through their form of slavery at some time or another. And that's the reason why everybody started rising up and wanting to control other people because of enslavement. But this is the reason why forgiveness is our order of business in this love walk. Because, yeah, I know it hurt. Yeah, I know it was wrong. Yeah, I know you were offended. But if you continue to have it in your heart, you're just going to become the very thing that oppressed you. You're going to become the very thing that offended you. So Jesus' teachings made perfect sense. Gandhi's teachings made perfect sense. Martin Luther King Jr.'s teachings made perfect sense. But the difference between some of the leaders that have come, well, no, all of them actually were assigned to a culture of people. Jesus wasn't assigned to the whole world at first. He was assigned to the people that he was born to. That's why he died on the cross as a symbolism, because they used to sacrifice animals for the shedding of blood. And so the symbolism of him dying on a cross or a tree was to shed blood, that they need not ever shed the blood of animals or anything like that anymore as a sacrifice unto God. God doesn't need all that. God needs the sacrifice of the heart, the obedience to become the fullness of who you are and to be okay with others doing the same. Love doesn't have any barriers or boundaries. Love is just the whole bridge. Come on, walk across. Get to your next level of maturity. Get to your next level of unfolding. Get to your next level of evolvement. Get to your next level of realizing the fullness of me. It's such a beautiful thing to explore, y'all. But without liberty, it becomes frightening. God says they come near to me with their mouths, but their hearts are far from me. So right now in this moment, we are just simply going to breathe and check our own hearts, what that heart looked like. It's a personal question. Check out the boulder in your own eye. When you take that first deep breath in, I want you to accept the unconditional love of God for yourself first. You are loved. God is not holding grudges against you. Can I be honest and tell y'all that He would not encourage us to forgive if He's holding grudges? Think on these things. I'm gonna let that sit there for a minute. Accept the unconditional love of God. All things are made new. According to your faith, be it unto you. When you breathe in that love. Take it in for yourself. Breathe out the condemnation, the fear, the shame. But I keep messing up and I keep doing this and I keep doing that. Not when you begin to love yourself more. When you begin to love yourself more, yeah, you'll still make decisions, but you won't see them as mistakes. You'll just see them as a decision made with no regret because you did it by faith. So even if it don't make sense today, maybe it's not supposed to make sense till another 5 years from now. Maybe it's not supposed to make sense until you are in your 60s and 70s. But when you do it by faith, no more worries, no regret, no fear. So when you accept that love, you breathe out everything that is the opposite. When you take that second deep breath in, I want you to then now receive the unconditional love that you are to offer to others, loving your neighbor as yourself. And when you breathe that out, you're going to breathe out all of the judgment and all of the ridicule and all of the hatred that you have towards others, forgiving others. And then on our third breath, we're going to breathe in, we're going to hold it and just be grateful for the breath. So when you release the breath, the gratitude is even greater. There's another opportunity for growth. There's another opportunity to become the fullness of who you need to be. Sheraman socorre mandiabas. Mokora mandio sutu shataman sekiarabayo. Man socorre ba. Take that first deep breath in. We're breathing in unconditional love, accepting it for ourselves. God is saying, I don't have a grudge against you. I'm not holding on to anything. I would not be a loving, unconditionally loving God if I did. I understand you're on a growth process. I understand that you're unfolding. I understand that you're coming to the fullness of who you are, and that takes trial and error. So grace is sufficient for you. Mercy is sufficient. Make sure you breathe out everything, 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 everything. All the guilt, the shame. Breathe it out, breathe it out, breathe it out. You are accepted in the beloved. Always. So are you saying that God just don't care about what we do? What I'm saying is you have free will because he made it so. And even if you choose to experience hell in your physical body and this physical experience, it's because you choose it. He's giving you the option. You're going to learn along the way that all things are permissible for me, but everything might not be beneficial. Let me choose. This is not supposed to be a stressful walk. You're not supposed to be walking around in fear. Fear is not faith. It's faith that pleases him. So in order to walk by faith, you have to make choices. There are principles that are released into this earth, like, so if you live according to the principle, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. That's one of the most important. Then it'll govern your actions. But you got to choose. Go ahead and take that second deep breath in. Unconditional love. Father, create in us a clean heart and renew a right spirit within us, that we may be able to see others through your eyes, through your lenses, not through our biases, not through our pain, not through our troubles, but through the fact that you feel this exact same way about each and every one of us. Breathe it out, breathe it out, breathe out the pain, breathe out the past, breathe out unforgiveness, breathe out all of it. Release it. Release it. Release that breath until you feel nothing left in you. Breathe it all the way out. Release it. I'm gonna take this. We're gonna take this third deep breath in, breathing in gratitude, holding on to that gratitude. You are loved. You are valued. You are on purpose and in purpose. Hold on to that gratitude for the breath. I choose love. I choose to put my focus on growing in that way. And this is the salvation that was offered by Christ Joshua. Your liberty. Your liberty to live by faith. Amani and RJ, let Christian come to me. And don't shish him because he's in pain. Whatever happened, let him come. Oh, Ramandia Sataya Mansuku Shatamansi. Oh, Ramandio so Ramandio so. Oh, Ramandio Koso Raba. LaMonica, I need you to be practicing your breathing every single day. Just breathe. Do it in the mornings when you first wake up. Do it in the middle of the day. Do it whatever you need to, but be sure to do it in the morning when you first wake up, remembering that you are absolutely loved by God. And put it where you need to put it. Okay. Practice it at night before you go to sleep, just being in gratitude, breathing in and out in gratitude. Pay attention to the moments where you feel anxiety and fear. And in your time of breathing, offer that up to God, knowing that God cares for you just like He does for anybody else. Maso remandios. Shekatamanso. Well, actually, feelings are not a bad thing. Feelings are great. That's why you have to raise your elevation. You have to elevate your feelings. Elevate your feelings to joy and happiness and all those things. You have to create inside of you what you want to experience outside of you. And so it's okay not to connect with many because you are set apart to do something. And you have to be able to relate to those who are going through the exact same thing that you are. That's how you'll be able to give your testimony of liberty and freedom as you go along. So no worries. No worries. Raise your elevate your feelings. Elevate it to a place where, nah. What I want to experience is joy and peace in my life. So that's what I'm going to create on the inside of me. So that should be your focus. I know that you have a lot of questions and all that, and I believe that your questions will be answered as you go along. But I need your focus to be on creating your inner atmosphere, the kingdom, your kingdom of God that's within. Begin to explore those streets. Find out where you want to put diamonds and pearls and gold and design it the way that you want it to be designed. What do you want your kingdom to operate like on the inside of yourself? Who are you? That's what your focus needs to be on for a while. Don't worry about whether you're doing something right or whether you're doing something wrong. Just be with God. Just be in that moment. Just breathe. Just breathe. And trust. You can write stuff down in your journal. But all of the questions that you are asking within yourself and all the questions that you want to ask, it's not wrong. You can do like I suggested for Kiera to do and just write down those questions, but don't stress over the answer. Just let God bring it in due time. Sometimes He'll bring it through another vessel. Sometimes He'll give it to you in a dream. Sometimes you'll see it on a billboard. You'll hear it on TV. You'll hear it in music, whatever. God will speak however He chooses. So be well with that. Be well with that. Be well. Mm-hmm. Na, 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 na. Destiny, I simply hear God say, it doesn't go unnoticed. It doesn't go unnoticed. You need to breathe too. It doesn't go unnoticed. You're welcome. Romel, I hear God say that it is your time to explore God, to know God, to love God, to let God love you. And of course, throughout your life, that has happened through me, through the other people in the family, showing you love, but you are simply accepted. You are here for a purpose. I wasn't able to go through with that appointment for a reason, because you were meant to be. And you were meant to shine. And you are meant to create, and you are meant to make noise in a way that many people will not understand, but God knows how He made you. And all the weight and pressure to conform, that's not your portion. Sit with yourself. Know who you are. Not the you that might be in pain about something, but the you that God intended for you to be. And it is so. And so it is. Blessings to everybody who has joined us today. Amani, Christian, RJ, my children, who have showed up. And even if they don't fully understand everything that's being said, seeds planted, you are all absolutely special. Designed by God to do some amazing things in this life. Father, I thank you for these, your people. I thank you for us making it to 97 days. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to pour and to love on others. Thank you for seeing fit for us to be present. Now I pray for the rest of their day, that they just spend it in joy, doing something that makes them laugh, that makes them smile. No resting in the negatives. No being disappointed about what didn't happen today. But just being grateful. Grateful for life. Grateful for love. Grateful to be a part of the greater whole and to know that I exist for a reason. Let them have that within their hearts today. It is so. Yes, 97. And so it is. Amen. And hallelujah.